So welcome to part two of my series of videos of what to do when Apple prunes your application from the App Store. So if we look at the previous video, which I have linked above, one of the things we talked about was this application I wrote about 10 years ago. And let's take a quick look at that. And this is written in Objective-C. And one of the things I did here was I'm using the srandom function here to seed the random number generator that you're going to use. And then I applied this random function here to actually calculate a random number that I wound up using for deciding who the winner was going to be. And one of the things I've decided to do is I want to use SwiftUI for the new version of this application. But before I do that, I want to take a look at seeing how we would actually do or calculate a random number using Swift. So let's take a quick look here. And this is actually the random function that we used in C. And this works okay, but we want to do this in an Apple way. So what I went ahead and did is I looked up the documentation here on random. And this is actually a type method, so it doesn't really matter if you're using an integer or a long int or a float or something like that. You can use this same random function on all the different types. So let's take a quick look. I'm going to switch over here to a playground, and let's just try to generate a random number here. So what we're going to do is we are going to declare a variable, and we're going to call this winner. And let's say I want to take an int and I want to get a random number here, and we'll say n, and now it's expecting a range. So the way you declare a range in Swift is you can say, in this case I want to start from 1 and go up to everything but not including 100. And if I go on and run this, we can see we get this random number over here. And I'll run it again just to see if we get a different number. And sure enough, we got a random number there. And there's another one. So something else I was also thinking about is that, let's say you want to have multiple winners. Let's say you want to be able to run this multiple times, but you don't have to worry about the chance that you'd have the same person or the same number picked again for a second time. And so one of the things that you can do is you can actually shuffle. And so there's actually this shuffle method here. And so if you look at the example that Apple gives here, they've declared an array here of these different names here, and now they're applying a shuffle to that. And one of the things that you can look at here is they have this complexity listed here of ON, where N is the length of the collection. And basically, this is referring to what's called a BigO notation. And I'm not going to get into a super lengthy description of how you calculate or how you figure out your BigO notation for a process like this. But there's this website here called BigO Algorithm Complexity, or the BigO cheat sheet. And what this does is this shows the complexity here. And whenever you're doing something that's going to take a certain amount of processing to do, one of the things they'll talk about is BigO as far as the complexity, like how many compute cycles is this going to take to calculate. And ideally what you want to do is you want to stay here in this green to yellow zone here, because let's say you're trying to calculate a series of 1 to a million or 1 to a trillion or something like that. Obviously it's going to take a processor a lot longer to calculate that amount than if you're just going from 1 to 100. And so what this is doing here is this is showing here that if you're in an ON, as an example here, you're still in the yellow. That's I think that's going to be fine for what we're trying to do. So this is going to end part 2, and the next part we're going to go into actually writing the application using a Swift UI. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, you can give it a thumbs down. Either way, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks. Have a good evening.